It is March 1933, and the United States of America is unrecognizable. Banks are locked. Factories are silent. Dust storms crawl across the plains like a plague. Millions wander the roads searching for work, carrying everything they own in a suitcase, if they own anything at all. Children sell apples on street corners for 5 cents. Families sleep in shanty towns built from scrap metal and cardboard, places they now call Hoovervilles. Confidence, the lifeblood of any functioning society, has evaporated, and the world is waiting for the next president, a man who cannot walk without braces, to repair the largest economic disaster in modern history. Behind the scenes, advisors whisper that the country is close to revolution. Some generals quietly prepare for domestic unrest. Newspapers declare that the American experiment might be ending. But in that same fear, that same paralysis, one figure steps into the spotlight, smiling, calm, unbroken. A man whose body failed him, but whose spirit did not. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. What happens next is one of the most extraordinary transformations in world history. How a single leader rebuilt a shattered nation, restored faith in democracy, and reshaped the modern world. This is the story of how one person, with courage, conviction, and a voice steady enough to calm a continent, turned national despair into national revival. The making of an unlikely savior, a privileged beginning, and the crisis that changed everything. Franklin Roosevelt grew up in wealth, the kind of wealth with European vacations, private tutors, and family estates stretching along the Hudson River. He didn't know hunger, he didn't know fear, he didn't know desperation, but he would. Because in 1921, at the age of 39, Roosevelt wakes with a fever after a swim. By nightfall, he can no longer move his legs. Doctors confirm what he refuses to believe: polio, permanent, life-altering, possibly career-ending. Roosevelt is devastated. For a moment, he disappears from public life entirely. Reporters whisper that his career is over. Even family friends suggest he bow out gracefully. But quietly, painfully, stubbornly, he starts the long climb back. Learning how to pull himself across the floor with his arms, learning how to stand again with iron braces locked to his legs, learning how to fall without breaking bones, learning how to speak from a wheelchair without letting the world see weakness. This physical struggle does something to Roosevelt that no education ever could. It teaches him the psychology of suffering. It teaches him what it means to lose control. It teaches him how ordinary people feel when the world collapses beneath them. And this understanding, this deeply human understanding, becomes the foundation of his leadership. America before Roosevelt, a nation in freefall. By the time Roosevelt runs for president, the United States is in ruins. 1 in 4 Americans is unemployed. Banks fail by the thousands. Workers riot. Farmers burn crops because they cannot afford to ship them. Young men wander the country on freight trains, searching for any job that will keep their families alive. Confidence is gone. Hope is gone. Direction is gone. People do not simply fear poverty. They fear that the entire American system is dying. Roosevelt's challenge is not only economic, it is emotional, psychological, spiritual. He must revive not just numbers, but belief. Inauguration Day, where fear meets resolve. The sky hangs low and gray on March 4th, 1933. Roosevelt grips the podium, braces hidden beneath his trousers, and lets the silence build. Then he delivers one of the most iconic lines in world history. "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." These words are not poetry. They are not political performance. They are a diagnosis of the crisis and its cure. Fear is what freezes a nation. Fear is what collapses a banking system. Fear is what paralyzes action. So Roosevelt declares open war on fear, and the nation begins to breathe again. The first 100 days, a political earthquake. Most presidents ease into power. Roosevelt detonates. His opening months become known as the most productive 100 days in presidential history. Emergency Banking Act, Public Works Administration, Civilian Conservation Corps, Agricultural Adjustment Act, Tennessee Valley Authority, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, Securities Act regulating Wall Street, National Industrial Recovery Act. This isn't just policy, it is momentum. When people see action, they move. When they see leadership, they follow. When they hear a plan, they stop panicking. Roosevelt's genius is not merely in policy design, it is in using action to rebuild psychological stability. He turns a panicked, fragmented nation into a coordinated recovery effort. Fireside Chats, the voice that rebuilt trust. In a world without television, in a world where radio is the hearth of the home, Roosevelt speaks to the nation like a father calming a frightened family. His fireside chats are simple, intimate, reassuring. He explains banking in plain language. He explains programs without jargon. He explains problems without blame. He explains solutions without arrogance. Most importantly, he listens. Letters pour into the White House by the hundreds of thousands. People tell him their fears, their anger, their desperation, their hope, and Roosevelt reads them. America doesn't just have a president. America has someone who feels what they feel. Roosevelt rebuilds trust not with promises, but with presence. A new social contract. The New Deal is not simply emergency relief. It is a redefinition of the relationship between citizen and government. Roosevelt introduces a radical idea for American life. The federal government is responsible for the well-being of its people. Social security, unemployment insurance, labor protections, infrastructure, environmental restoration, rural electrification. This is not charity. This is not handouts. This is stability, the foundation for opportunity. Roosevelt doesn't eliminate capitalism. He stabilizes it. He regulates it. He humanizes it. He turns an economic system on the verge of collapse into one capable of supporting millions. 7. A world on fire. Roosevelt's next test. By the late 1930s, while America recovers, the rest of the world descends into chaos. Hitler remilitarizes Germany. Mussolini invades Ethiopia. Japan expands across Asia. Democracies fall one by one. Roosevelt sees what others refuse to see. If tyranny wins abroad, democracy dies at home. So he begins preparing the nation, slowly, carefully, strategically. He strengthens the military. He increases production. He lends supplies to the Allies. He positions America not just as a nation, but as an arsenal. When Japan attacks Pearl Harbor, Roosevelt once again becomes the calm voice in a storm. His leadership unites a deeply divided country into one of the greatest war efforts the world has ever seen. Factories roar back to life. Women enter the workforce in massive numbers. America becomes the heart of global resistance. The Depression ends not by chance, but by the industrial revival Roosevelt set in motion. By the war's conclusion, the United States stands stronger than ever, economically and morally. Roosevelt hasn't simply rebuilt America. He has reshaped the world order. What makes a leader great? Roosevelt is not flawless. He makes decisions that remain controversial today. He expands federal power. He struggles with racial equality. He wins an unprecedented 4 terms. But perfection is not the measure of leadership. Impact is. Courage is. Clarity in the storm is. So what makes a leader great? Is it genius, strength, strategy, victory, or is it something deeper? The ability to understand people in their darkest moments, to meet fear with steadiness, to give a nation back to itself. Roosevelt's greatness is not defined by the New Deal or World War II. It is defined by his ability to lead a broken people without ever letting them feel broken. That is rare. That is powerful. That is timeless. The lesson Roosevelt leaves us. Roosevelt's story is not simply political. It is human. A man whose body could not walk, leading a country that could not stand. A man who turned personal tragedy into public strength. A man who understood that rebuilding a nation begins not with policies, but with the human heart. Roosevelt teaches us that. Nations do not collapse because of hardship. They collapse because of hopelessness. And they rise again when someone, anyone, helps them believe that tomorrow is worth fighting for. America did not recover because of one program or one law. It recovered because Roosevelt gave people the courage to hope again. And that is the heart of his legacy. Strength is not the absence of weakness. Strength is the refusal to surrender to it. Roosevelt didn't just rebuild America. He rebuilt confidence. He rebuilt trust. He rebuilt belief. This is why his story endures. This is why it matters. And this is why, in every moment when nations confront fear, crisis, or division, Roosevelt's question returns. What kind of leader does a collapsing world need? Someone flawless? No. Someone fearless? No. A leader who understands suffering, a leader who listens, a leader who steadies the storm, a leader who reminds people of their own strength. Because when fear spreads, courage is contagious. And when courage spreads, civilizations rise. Franklin Delano Roosevelt didn't just save a nation, he taught it how to save itself. If you found this story fascinating, like, share, and subscribe to Timeless Questions channel, where we explore the civilizations, ideas, and mysteries that shaped humanity.